So I want to tell you guys a story. Last week, my husband and I were packing to go to Mexico for Thanksgiving. And this funny thing happened. He pulled out the ironing board. That wasn't the funny part, although it is kind of funny because he never pulls it out. And he started to iron a shirt. My mom wanted us to wear pink for the family picture. And I said to him, "Hey, can you grab that shirt on the back of the laundry room door? Somehow it got thrown in the laundry a couple weeks ago, and it needs to be ironed." That's what I thought I said. What he told me I said, or what he heard I said, was, why are you blaming me for putting your dry cleaning in the laundry? Has that ever happened to anybody? Where you say something and somebody else interprets it completely different? I thought I said something, but he made it mean something else. I thought I said something, and I may have actually said something else. I want to talk to you all today about building confidence and yet still being kind. I've heard a lot of people talk over the last couple hours about their journey in network marketing. Jordan talked a little while ago about it being the vehicle to get somewhere else. And what I've noticed in myself is that this business has actually become the vehicle to me becoming a better person. And in part of that, I have had to learn how to change my communication. I've had to work very hard over the last couple years to learn how to communicate differently. Because I am confident. I've grown up very confident. But sometimes my words don't always come across the way that I intend. So I grew up in a very loud, confrontational, I'll be a huge stereotype right now, but I'm allowed to say it because this is where I came from, New York Jewish family. We yelled a lot. And if you weren't the most loud, if you weren't the most aggressive in the room, then you didn't get heard. For instance, when I would fly home to visit my parents, my mom would scream to me, "Get your stuff out of the kitchen, it's all over the place." And I would look and I'd say, "Really? All I did was put my purse on the kitchen counter." And so I'd have to yell and defend myself because I felt like she was attacking me for messing up her kitchen. Or the best would be when I'm messing up the laundry room with my laundry. Isn't that what it's there for? But anyway, if you weren't the loudest, if you didn't talk the loudest, and I don't mean to say that we weren't kind, because my family is tight, we love each other. But if you weren't the loudest, you didn't get heard. And that was all I knew. And we grow up and we communicate with others. What happens is we communicate with how we've learned from the past, right? So when I started my network marketing business, I don't think that my communication skills were as strong as they could have been. And what I want to talk to you about today are two different lessons I've learned. One is the lesson where you are trying to reach out to somebody in your organization that you may have sponsored it or you may not even know. And yet you don't have the confidence to do it, and so you do nothing. Or when you communicate with somebody and you think you said something, but they're hearing something totally different. Now, when you say something to somebody, you may have a choice in how you communicate, but I'll tell you something that I think is really important, and it's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, is that the person who's hearing also has a choice on how they want to make that mean. So I learned over the last couple years that I can say exactly what I need to say and be heard. I can be confident, and yet I can be lovable at the same time. I can ask for what I want and still come from a place of kindness. That's my responsibility. But it's also my responsibility when somebody says something to me to choose how I want to make that mean. So let's talk about commuting down into our organization for a second. I'm going to use the word taprooting, which means when you go down to a lower level and maybe you're connecting with somebody that you don't even know. When I was a premier in my organization, which was one of the lower ranks, my diamond upline, who I didn't know, who didn't sponsor me, who was actually 9 levels above me, reached down to me and sent me the most beautiful, heartfelt email telling me how amazing I was. I had done what most people sometimes take a year to do in only 1 month. And he sent me a beautiful email and he inspired me. And I had no idea what a diamond was, but it sounded really important. And it made me feel really special. And he inspired me to attend my own company's leadership conference a couple months later, where I knew no one at all. I sat in the back of the room of 1,500 people at that time, but I was inspired to go. And you know what? That conference changed my life. That man changed my life. And that man passed away this past summer, but I will never, ever forget the kind words that he used with me in just that email. Now, that is why taprooting matters. So I did have a wonderful upline who did enroll me, and she felt as new, however, as I did in the business. And although I am so grateful for her introduction to my business, she didn't offer me a ton of support. She didn't know how to at the time. She didn't think I needed her. Not her fault. But what I'm trying to say to you guys is that we all need support, and we all want to feel supported. So while Jordan talked about tethering a little while ago, which is super important, remember in the beginning there are people who need you. And there are people who want to feel your love. And if you're not confident enough to lovingly reach out to them and hold their hand for a little bit in the beginning and show them the way, then you're doing yourself and them a big disservice. You might have amazing people underneath of you, and because you're not confident enough yet to reach down, you're walking away from an opportunity for all. So remember that taprooting, which is communication, actually matters. Now I want to switch gears for a second. And I want to talk to you about how communication can be effective in other ways, and that means asking for what you want. So many people are afraid to actually ask for what they want. And it's imperative. We've heard so much inspiration over the last couple of days of believing in yourself and going after your dreams, right? You have to put that intention out there. And sometimes you actually have to verbally communicate it to somebody else, maybe even in your organization. And it's really important that you come from a place of confidence, not a place of fear. So I want to ask you a question. Have you ever had a builder in your organization who said they wanted to build, but after months, maybe even years, they still hadn't done anything? You're giggling in the background, right? It's like every single person should be raising their hand now, right? And the thing is that you may be afraid to say something to them, right? So one option is you totally avoid all communication. Or it may actually get worse. You may actually demonstrate passive aggressive behavior. And that's totally mature, right? And very productive. And it can get even worse than that. I've seen situations where communication has gotten really confrontational. Also super productive, right? So in those situations, you guys, nothing gets resolved. And you walk away feeling disempowered, and you walk away feeling angry, and you walk away sometimes feeling really sad. So remember I told you in the beginning when I first started my business that my communication skills weren't the best? Well, I have to tell you, I had a couple of relationships that actually suffered because of it. And I still think about them. Like, what would have been different if I had known how to communicate better? And I'm not blaming myself because, hey, we all come from where we come from. And like I said, that was all I knew. I knew the way that I acted used to get me exactly what I wanted. But then what I wanted changed. And I knew I had to change as well. So network marketing becomes the vehicle for you to dive in and really work on your own personal development wherever that may be. So for me, it was dealing with my own insecurities. And it was learning how I could come from a very loving place, not aggressive, not defensive. And guess what? I was able to lead so much more effectively. So I ask you, which communication sounds better? Hey, you said you wanted to do something and you said you wanted to build, but I don't see you doing anything. It's awesome, right? Or, hey, when you signed up, you mentioned that you may want to hit the rank of diamond, and I would absolutely love to support you. And I don't know if your goals have changed. If they haven't and you're struggling, I want to be here for you. I can help you with some action steps. I'm wondering, how can I help you achieve your desires? Do you know I am committed to you no matter what? Which sounds better? And if you come from an authentic place and that is what you mean, then you probably won't have somebody interpreting a statement to mean something else. Because that could have been what you meant the first time around, but somebody heard it differently, right? If you come from a place of love, you can still be authentic and you can be truthful. And in my opinion, everyone wants to hear the truth. Everyone wants to be told the truth, don't you? I am a big fan of personal development, and I'm a big fan of growing. And if I'm doing something that could be better, I'd love to hear it. How can I serve someone else better? How can I be more effective? Tell me, I want to know the truth. Don't you think other people want to as well? And so I believe that no one can be upset with you for speaking the truth as long as your communication is not defensive or confrontational. But the problem is that so many of us come from a place where we are living in fear. And so our first instinct is defensiveness. Our first instinct is confrontation. So if we can step back and ask someone else what they intended to mean, then it's possible when we communicate back and forth, we'll all be more effective. Communication is key. So by learning how to be a better communicator, I was able to help my teams grow, and I was able to not feel the bent down anger and resentment that I had one time felt before. So this is when I decided, and you might want to take a picture of this slide, that the 5 qualities that I wanted to have in a leader who I was going to work with would possess confidence. They would be capable. What does capable mean? You send a brand new builder a welcome email or package, and they actually don't ask you a question. They read it. And they sign somebody up all by themselves. That is capable. Committed. Committed means when things are going poorly, you're still there. You're showing up on leadership calls. You're attending events. Month after month, you're in it. That's committed. Coachable. People don't have to recreate everything all by themselves. Watch what other people are doing and be coached. And the last is good communicators. Who do you want to work with? I think that the key to great leadership is to communicate expectations, educate, and instill confidence into your team. Now, I think there's amazing people in this industry, but I also think there are amazing people in billions of industries. So I love this quote from Siku Andrews. It says, "Learn from outside your industry to become better within your industry." Watch what other people are doing who are successful. And if you want to learn how to communicate, see how other people are successfully doing it. I remember years ago going through one of my yoga trainings and noticing that when my yoga guru spoke in a very quiet, slow voice, everybody flocked in and sat around and wanted to listen. He had this way of communicating and owning the room. I noticed it. I noticed when other people speak who are slower talkers than me that I should stop and breathe a little bit. Right? Because they're effective in their communication. So don't be afraid to observe how other people are communicating, what's working and what's not working. You guys, the key to greatness is seeing yourself bigger than what you think is possible. And your voice can be so powerful and still kind with your own vision so that you too can achieve greatness. Can you all stand up for a second? I want you to repeat after me. I can be better than good. I can be exceptional. And the ability to be exceptional includes the skill of communicating with confidence and kindness. Thank you so much, you guys.